All right, so here we go. Raid has been busy. They added in 6 brand new champions into rotation. We got Arashi here. We're going to focus in on him. The ratings are beginning to pour in. People are giving their opinions. And yeah, he is a legendary HP. We're going to talk about where he excels and where to kind of like avoid him in Raid Shadow Legends when it comes to like modes and things like that. And then eventually we're going to work our way to the other 5 champions. So stay tuned. Be sure to smack that subscribe button to stay updated on all things Raid Shadow Legends. And yeah, I'm also giving away some champions today. So let's go ahead and find out about that. So if you did not know, you guys can actually earn Teodor and goooooo right now for free as a new user, or if you want to create a brand new free-to-play account for the fun of it for, some sort of challenge, you can actually obtain him right now. And of course, goooooo for free. Follow that link in the description below or scan that QR code on the screen and boom, they will be yours. Now, goooooo unlocks at level 15. And yes, you're going to get a ton of free starter resources. But let's go ahead and go back here and talk more about our new Shadowkin legendary here, Arashi, who just looks like an absolute badass dude. I hope they have other events and ways to obtain him, of course. I think that'd be really, really cool. And by the way, to kind of like celebrate Arashi's arrival, they are running some progressive chance events where you can actually slot him in. So give it a go and see if you get lucky. I have a soft spot for the Shadowkin. But first, let's start out with the ratings and see what everyone is saying so far. We only have 16 ratings, so we're very much at the beginning about how the community is feeling about him. But we have campaign locations looking pretty okay. It's not like a 4.6, 4.7 or something like that, or even like a 5 out of 5, but it's doable. You can use him for campaign and that sort of thing. However, it seems like he's really excelling in arena offense and defense. We're going to talk about exactly why that is in just a moment. Hydra, kind of okay. Average with Hydra. Spirit Keep, Void Keep, looking pretty good for the majority of the keeps, except for Magic Keep there. Now, we get some average ratings here for Dragon's Lair, Ice Golem. You're going to want to kind of like avoid him for that, of course. Minotaur's Labyrinth, kind of an average rating so far, but doable. However, Faction Wars is what is going to stick out here with a 4.1 rating. So yeah, seems like he's actually legit for Faction Wars and Arena. That's where I would say you would really want to focus up with him. Of course, you can play with him in campaign as well. So yeah, those are the 3 areas it seems like you can rotate him within Raid. But what about his abilities? What makes him excel in like Arena, for example? Let's find out here. So first of all, we have Concealed Blades. It says attacks 1 enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 75% chance of stealing 1 random buff. This effect cannot be resisted if this champion is under a Vel or Perfect Vel buff. Interesting. Now, it is kind of a bummer that that's based off of a chance of stealing 1 random buff and isn't like kind of like a guarantee. However, I'm assuming that there's some sort of ability in here that we're going to work our way to where it is about doing the Vel first and then all the other abilities. That's what I'm kind of seeing so far. Now, we have Nautical Assassin. It says attacks 1 enemy. Will ignore 25% of the target's defense, as well as shield and strengthen buffs. Will also ignore stone skin buffs if this champion is under a Vel or Perfect Vel buff. So that Vel, you can see, is becoming commonplace within his abilities here. But it also is really cool that he can get through a lot of buffs that are used, of course, in the kind of like late game as well. So he is a heavy hitter for sure. Now, also it says if this attack kills an enemy, increases the duration of all buffs on this champion by 1 turn, keeping him in the battle for longer, which I absolutely love. So that is really, really cool. Now, what about this one right here? Riptide's Onslaught attacks all enemies. Love it because, these 2 other abilities were attack 1 enemy, except for that one, attack 1 enemy 2 times, which is nice. But this one, yes, attacks all enemies. That's what I'm talking about. Before attacking, places a Perfect Vel buff and a 30% increase crit damage buff on this champion for 2 turns. So this is one of the abilities, it seems, that gives you that Perfect Vel buff. So you're going to want to start here with, when you are engaging with the enemy and then activate these other subsequent attacks to really get those bonuses, because you're going to want the Perfect Vel activated no matter what. Now, it goes on to say this attack deals single target damage to each target individually rather than AoE damage. Will ignore 15% of the first enemy defense. After hitting the first enemy, will hit every other enemy. Following the initial hit, each subsequent hit ignores 5% more of the target's defense, stacks up to 35%. This one is interesting because there's a lot of abilities that the enemy can use when it comes to AoE damage, kind of like prevention. So it seems like this is a workaround to that for sure. So that is really cool. Now it says for each enemy killed by this attack increases this champion's HP by 5%. Stacks up to 30%. Hell yes. So you're going to want to buff his HP. It seems through gear, artifacts, that sort of thing. You're going to really want to focus in on that because a lot of his damage and abilities are focused on HP, as it is noting right there. You do not want to neglect it with, of course, an HP-centric champion. It is kind of like a shame he isn't like attack-centric. He doesn't have like the strongest attack power from what I understand, and that's where that's why you're kind of seeing like these average ratings on some of these areas, because his power isn't like absolutely phenomenal or something like that. He is an HP legendary. But you know what? He also has this right here, Pirate Lord. It's a passive. It says at the start of each round, place a perfect veil buff on this champion for 1 turn. So right out of the gates, boom, he's automatically perfect veiled. And it says has a 20% chance to reflect all damage and debuffs this champion receives back to the attacker. Nice. Now, here is an active effect. If the reflected damage kills an enemy, fills this champion's turn meter by 30%, and places a perfect veil buff on this champion for 1 turn. So yeah, that just means you can keep the perfect veils going, chaining together essentially. And that seems like one of the important roles of this character is learning how to chain together the perfect veils as you are doing battle and keep that up and running to make sure you maximize those bonuses for sure. Now also we have this right here. Aura says increases ally speed in arena battles by 28%. And there is why we are seeing that higher rating for arena battles, because of this right here as well, because that is not too shabby at all. In fact, let me check something. I think that might actually doesn't that outdo Sun Wukong? No, actually it matches Sun Wukong pretty much perfectly, so they are kind of like competing head to head for that arena position, but he is still at the top tier for arena offense, defense. I'm kind of curious to see if anything changed with that, but I don't think it will, simply because he is a legendary attack, and of course, Arashi is a legendary HP. That's going to be the difference. But yeah, remember, you can actually obtain Teodor today, and of course, Ugo for free. You'll get Ugo by level 15. All you have to do is use that link in the description below, or scan that QR code on the screen, and you are good to go, and you'll get a ton of starter resources as well. But yeah, right now, I'm currently deciding who I want to 6-star next. So I'm going to do like an account update eventually, but I am definitely on a roll now. I've already got Kel, who is ascended pretty much all the way to 6 stars, and he is on his way to level 60. I'm torn. So I'm torn right now between what I want to do. Now, Ursula is also, guess what, 6 stars, which is freaking awesome. And then, yes, I also got Alice to 6 stars. So we have, I believe, do we have 4 characters already? Okay, yeah, so we're actually making damn good progress now, for sure. It seems like it's speeding up. The process I'm noticing with Raid is that it seems to take a little bit of time to get your first, like, 6-star champion on your own. And then once that starts happening, it's like a cascading effect. You get into this role of just knowing what to do, and then knowing, like, what champions to sacrifice. That's been the toughest thing for me personally, is like, what champions do I keep? What champions do I sacrifice? And anymore, if they're like rare, versus epic, of course. Epic, I kind of try to keep around as much as possible, but any rare champions I can grab and sacrifice those, or bring them up to like 5 stars and then begin, sacrificing them. That's the way I've been doing it currently. Let me know how you guys actually upgrade your champions, but that's actually been working pretty well for me currently. But yeah, right now, currently torn between Teodor, upgrading Teodor, or Ugo next. But there's also Corpse Collector. I still think she is a badass. However, she doesn't have like the best HP pool, at least in my opinion. She goes down quite a bit. That could be because of my gear arrangement. I got to like fine tune that. Curious to see how it goes in the future. But remember, yeah, they did add like 6 brand new champions. But yeah, Esme is also another one of the new champions they did add today. And she has some events going on around her that are actually really, really important. Champion training event, Dungeon Divers event. And this, of course, ties into Fragment Summon, which you can see here clearly. You have about 2 days to take on a lot of the opportunities, and I imagine they might rotate more opportunities in here as well for her. But yeah, some really cool stuff going on around her. And I gotta say, I've been making use of the Guardian Ring as well. Almost got these champions to level 40, and I'm able to time it now as well. I took like the advice of some of the veterans from the raid community, and it is working so nicely. So these guys are going to be ready to be leveled up. Don't know if I'm going to use them as food or not. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe for faction. We're still trying to decide, but let me know if there's anyone in this roster that you think, hey, Robbie, hold up now. You should absolutely reconsider and keep these champions around. Please let me know. But yeah, cool to see that they bolstered up the roster of champions in Raid by 6 brand new champions. There's even a mythical in there. We'll talk about him in this standalone video here coming up. So look out for that. But remember, if you want to obtain Teodor and, of course, Ugo, 2 amazing epic support champions, see that link in the description below, or follow that QR code on the screen, or I should say scan the QR code on the screen, and you will obtain them for free. Ugo unlocks at level 15 Teodor right out of the gates in your inbox as a new user. And yes, you'll get a ton of starter resources, so check it out. But thank you guys so much for the love and support on the new channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Smack that like button if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time. Take care.